Hello, my name is David Sherrick, and today you will be seeing the presentation, A Look to the Stars, Science Fiction and the Future of Humanity. To begin, we have an intro video of the Star Trek series, The Next Generation.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before.
So, obviously Star Trek. Star Trek has a great level of technology. It is a Type 2 civilization. You'll find out what that means later. And their mission is to explore strange new worlds, seek out new civilizations, and to boldly go where no man has gone before. That is a Type 2 way of thinking. So to begin with, we have my thesis. Due to the human drive for technological advancement, humanity will be able to meet and exceed the conceived technology seen from a variety of science fiction mediums. This will cause humanity to grow and flourish as it progresses through the different stages of civilization and evolution. So to begin with, what is science fiction? Science fiction is any literary or film or even video game source that portrays future technology that's not within our reach. However, it is still feasible to imagine. So for instance, lightsabers in Star Wars, those are conceivable. Theoretical physicists have already designed ways of how to make a real lightsaber. We just lack the technology to make them, which we will discover in about 50 years. However, what is not science fiction? Obviously action, and fantasy. Science fiction isn't really about magic or minotaurs or other creatures. It's about technology. That is the main focus of science fiction. So to begin with a few examples, we of course have Star Wars. The first Star Wars film was made in 1977, and it is one of the most recognizable science fiction sources seen ever. It is the third highest grossing film series of all time, and it is just immensely popular. In the lower left hand corner we have Star Trek. Star Trek is about humanity in a Type 2 civilization, in which humanity has started to encounter different forms of alien life, and we go out and we colonize other worlds, and we explore the galaxy as we know it. In 1984, that is of course the novel by George Orwell. In 1984, a ruling class of 2% of the population used technology such as telescreens, which is kind of like TVs with webcams, to spy on the remaining 98% of the population and basically enslave them to their will. That is a pessimistic view of future technology, but it is possible. And then, of course, on the lower right-hand corner, we have Mass Effect. Mass Effect is a video game. Yes, video games are science fiction. In Mass Effect, it is similar to Star Trek. Humanity has begun to colonize other worlds, and they have come across alien species, and they actually struggle to find their place in this new discovered alien society. So to begin, how do you classify technology? How do you categorize civilization? A man named Andrei Kardashev seeked to answer that question in the 1960s. He was a Russian astronomer and cosmonaut, and he tried to discover how to categorize civilizations. And when he first made the Kardashev scale, he included 3 levels of civilization, 1, 2, and 3. You will also see types 0, 4, and 5 today in this presentation. When he originally made his scales, the main factor Kardashev was concerned about was energy. He categorized civilizations based on the amount of energy that they could produce and consume. But however, other theoretical physicists have come along since then, and they have also added to the scales, including other levels, and they have also given each level in the scale different characteristics, such as culture, socially, military, technology, all of it. And today you will see kind of like a rough overview of all of the civilizations that have been really thought out thus far. So for type 1, we have the planetary level. Planetary, as in the dominant species has gained total control of its home planet, and it is very unified, both socially, militarily, technologically, and politically. In type 2, you have the interstellar level. That's where the species has begun to branch out from its homeworld, and it has discovered forms of space travel, and it starts to colonize other worlds and discover alien life. At a type 3, all of these alien species come together and they form a galactic community, a very strong, tight-knit galactic community, and of course they can harness the power of the entire galaxy. So to begin, where are we? Obviously, we are not type 1 because we are not completely unified in our homeworld. We are actually type 0. Type 0 is where current modern-day humans are at. What does a type 0 civilization look like? As far as energy consumption and production, it uses mostly non-renewable resources. It pollutes its environment, things of that nature. And as far as socially and politically, they have a lot of wars in the species. One could look back through human history and realize a lot of human history is just a bunch of civil wars within the species. That's what most of our history is. And we have had wars almost non-stop ever since we could fight. And why is this? Why are we so primal in the way we act? Why? Well, this is the reason why. This geologic clock. The geologic clock plots the history of Earth as it's been at this particular point in space. The Earth has been here for 4.6 billion years. The first life started to happen around 4 billion years ago. And then, of course, you have the dinosaurs at 230 million years ago. They are extinct at 65 million years ago. At the very tip top, there's a slice of red. You can't even see it from where you're sitting. This slice of red is how long modern humans have been on Earth. 2 million years. That's not a lot of time at all, especially when you put it up against the history of the Earth and all of the forms of life that have been on the Earth. Humanity is in its infancy. We are babies. And as any child, we make mistakes, we learn from them, we learn our lessons, and we grow up, and we mature as a species from that. Obviously, people in 2015 have a certain sense of moral behavior that was not exactly reminiscent in, say, the caveman days, or even the Dark Ages in medieval Europe. We are a little bit advanced from that. And that's the way it should be. We are babies, we are growing up, and we are learning. That is what a Type 0 civilization is. Now at this point I'm going to talk about my service learning project. It's going to take place at BASC, the Birmingham Senior Center, April 28th to 5 to 8 p.m. What we're going to do is we're going to have the senior citizens there bring in all of their Apple technology. All of their iMacs, their laptops, their tablets, their iPhones, the iPads, all of it. And we high school students are going to go over there and teach them how to use their devices. Even if it's just simple stuff like how do you access email, or what is an app, or how do you surf the internet. That's what we're going to do on April 28th from 5 to 8 p.m. Now, Type 1 civilization. Everyone in this room is very fortunate, because we have the privilege of being alive in a time where we are seeing the transition from Type 0 to Type 1. We are seeing these transitions today. Of course, the Type 1 civilization uses mostly non-renewable resources, and is a completely unified species on the home world. Let's look at what we have today, some of the institutions current day humans have today. We of course have NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. NATO was originally formed in the 1900s to combat communism, but today it has evolved into an institution which has dozens of member countries, and they all have the same doctrine, that an attack on one is an attack on all. That's a Type 1 way of thinking. An attack on one is an attack on all. Where if you attack one country, you are attacking every member of NATO. That is a Type 1 way of thinking, in the sense that you're standing up for one country, even though your country's not being attacked. You're standing up for all of the countries because you're unified. That's military unification right there. And then next to NATO, we have the European Union. The European Union is a group of European nations which have exclusive trading privileges amongst each other, and they also have one thing in common: the euro. The euro is a Type 1 currency. The United Nations, of course, the concept is a Type 1 concept. Today, NATO isn't that effective. They don't get a ton of stuff done, but the concept of every nation sending its leadership to come together and form consensus and to make decisions regarding the fate of the entire human race, that's a Type 1 concept. And eventually, the United Nations will evolve, and it will become a more powerful institution. And then, of course, last but not least, we have the Internet. The Internet is a Type 1 telephone system. What do you mean by telephone system, David? I mean that because it allows for near instant communication of thoughts, knowledge, and ideas across anywhere in the world. The Internet is so powerful that it was able to bring down dictators such as Hosni Mubarak in Egypt or Gaddafi in Libya. That is the power of the Internet and of social networking. And as human technology progresses, that technology will become more and more ingrained in our society, and it will lead to an ultimately Type 1 telephone system. What are the two biggest languages on the Internet? English and Mandarin. That's the beginning of a Type 1 language. At a Type 2 civilization, the civilization is able to harness the power of a sun. That is an astronomical amount of power. If you built an ice bridge from where I'm standing to the sun, and this ice bridge is 2 miles wide, 1 mile high, and it's all the way from here to the sun gives off enough energy to melt the entire ice bridge in 1 second. 1 second. That is a huge amount of energy. And that's the energy that a Type 2 civilization is able to wield. It is also the level of Star Trek. As I said before, Type 2 civilization, it has already achieved control over its home planet. That's what a Type 1 civilization is. When it's a Type 2, it starts to branch out to different worlds It explores strange new worlds, it seeks out new civilizations, and it goes where no man has gone before. And during that colonization, we also run into different alien species. Type 2 is when you uncover extraterrestrial activity. And just as nations today compete and vie for resources and territory and all this stuff, that's what we will be doing with alien life. We will be competing with them over resources and territory and politically. In addition to Star Trek, we also have Halo. Halo is a video game series, very popular. Halo is a Type 2 civilization. Humanity has branched out and colonized a lot of worlds within the galaxy, and then eventually they run into an alien conglomerate called the Covenant. The Covenant is a conglomerate of many species of aliens, all unified by the notion of a religion, that they will transcend and become gods if they do what their leaders say. The leaders ultimately convince the Covenant that humanity is an affront to their religion and must be exterminated. The war lasts over 20 years. Eventually, humanity does win, and the Covenant collapses, and that is a very pessimistic view of a Type 2 civilization. If a Type 2 civilization is mature enough to advance technologically to the point where they can colonize other worlds, it is very unlikely that there will be an entity that is so immature as to cause a galactic war. However, the possibility does exist. And war is a very, very likely scenario. However, it is still a pessimistic view because